Hi, everyone, once again, and welcome to our very first Snapinar, your bite-sized webinar fix brought to you by Appistoki Consulting. Who needs an hour when you have got 25 minutes of brilliance, right? This is the first in the series of many Snapinars that we will be hosting on a regular basis. Our Snapinars offer a concise 25-minute webinar experience, seamlessly fitting into even the busiest of schedules, with which we are introducing our one slide, one demo, and one Q&A session format. I will be talking about that later today. But first off, a big shout out and thank you to each and every one of you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to tune in with us today. We truly appreciate it. But before diving in, we will be setting some ground rules here. It's a concise 25 minutes webinar. All participants except the panelists will be put in listen-in mode. Participants can type in their questions in the Q&A box below. We kindly request you to park your questions for the Q&A section, which is the last leg of our Snapinar. And finally, have fun. And also for your information, our webinar is recorded and will be available on our website for viewing later. So now, kicking it off with an introduction about our organization, Appistoki. We are a Salesforce Platinum partner and an all Salesforce shop. We operate in multiple countries such as Singapore, Philippines, Malaysia, Ireland, and India, serving a diverse clientele ranging from NASDAQ-listed giants to forward-thinking boutique firms. Our journey has been a remarkable one, acquiring new enterprise and mid-market logos in ASEAN. Our cross-cloud capabilities cover sales and service, data cloud, marketing cloud, digital engagement, Pardot, and many more. Our success is measured by the impact we have made. We've proudly serviced large enterprise accounts and have received a CSAT of 4.9 consistently. And now, moving on to a quick introduction about myself. I'm your host and MC for the day. My name is Akshita Kapoor. I bring over a decade of expertise in Salesforce Cross-Cloud and SAP Functional Consulting and other SaaS customer experience platforms. I am 3x Salesforce certified. I am the sales and pre-sales and account lead for APAC at Appistoki. I've had the privilege of working across industries like FMCG, manufacturing, energy and utility, pharma, etc., and different markets globally, especially throughout Asia and ASEAN region. All right, so moving on, I will now break down the one slide, one demo, and one Q&A concept. Firstly, let's talk about the one slide deck. Today, we are diving into the realm of hypersegmentation in Salesforce Data Cloud. Our slides will unlock the potential of conversational AI and how it can revolutionize your marketing strategy. Now, on to the exciting part, the one demo. We have with us Rahul Nanda, a Salesforce Marketing Cloud and Data Cloud practice head, ready to showcase us a demo for the same. Lastly, the one Q&A session. We want to hear from you. Have burning questions? Our expert speaker, Rahul, will address them during our live Q&A at the end of the Snapinar. Do not miss this golden opportunity to gain actionable insights. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be inspired. Also, I would now like to introduce our speaker and my dear colleague, Rahul Nanda. Rahul brings in 29 years of work experience in the digital marketing space, both as a marketer as well as the agency side. He has worked across industries like banking, telecom, e-commerce, etc. He is 6x Salesforce certified with key strengths in digital marketing, marketing automation, data analytics, amongst others. All right. With this, over to you, Rahul.
Yeah, thank you, Akshita, for the introduction. Hi, I'm Rahul, and I head the marketing and data cloud practice at Appistoki. First of all, thank you for taking out time to join our first #Snapinar in this series. To avoid any connectivity or unforeseen issues, we have pre-recorded the presentation and the demo session for you to view. Post this, we'll have a live Q&A session. So let me just share my screen and start the video. Yeah, I hope my screen is visible. I'm going to
Yes,
play.
it is. No, it's not. Sorry, Rahul, it's not. I can still see my screen. Were you able to share your screen?
Yes.
Okay, let me just stop sharing my screen for a minute. Right. You can also turn on your video now, Rahul.
Okay, thank you. So here goes.
So let's get started. In this webinar, we will cover how Einstein helps a marketer create hypersegments using
Rahul, the audio stopped.
in an
Good
activate
now.
aware.
Okay, can you hear it now?
Yes, perfect. Please go on.
Provides you a few options on how to segment your audience into your target segments. You can then activate those segments and push them into Marketing Cloud and trigger a journey for your marketing campaigns. In this webinar, we will cover these options and show a demo of the most recent way of segmenting your customers with the help of Einstein. For the purpose of this webinar, we've already prepared the data streams, ingested the data, mapped the relevant data models, and run the identity resolution prior to doing segmentation. Let us look at the two approaches that we currently have at our disposal, manual versus using Einstein AI. In the manual approach, we can use SQL query to create our segments, but that requires some coding knowledge. We can use the visual builder canvas to drag and drop the attributes and their values and create a resulting segment, but which also requires a bit of an understanding of the platform interface. And of course, all these methods take time and may require assistance from your IT. The second approach, using Einstein AI, allows you to create complex segments using just natural language prompts to help create segments in seconds. Einstein allows marketers that self-help approach to creating segments based on their understanding of their customer and not their skills on Data Cloud. The new prompt evolution moves away from clicks or code and gives you the ability to converse with Einstein and provide the necessary input prompts for AI to then generate that customer segment. This is how the traditional segmentation builder canvas looks like. On the left-hand side is the list of attributes available to you that you can use to filter your audience. You drag and drop these attributes into the canvas and provide the values associated with the segment you want to define, and then specify the and or logic in between these attributes. And that's how you create your segment the traditional way. Einstein provides you an option to create those very same segments by simply typing the specific prompt in natural language, giving the context of those attributes and values you're likely to consider, and the operator logic, and that's it. Einstein will use AI to understand your prompt, convert it into context, derive the attributes, understand the logic, and create a resultant customer segment in seconds. Of course, if you don't like the results the first time, you can keep refining the input prompts until you get the desired segment built. Now it's time to move on to a demo. We've already prepared the data in Data Cloud for this demo, using a customer profile data with some e-commerce purchase data and some email interaction data, 3 data streams in all. We'll showcase 3 types of segments created with the help of Einstein. The first segment is based on a simple attribute and value combination of age and gender from the profile category. In the second segment, we're using the purchase engagement data to extract customers who have purchased a pizza at least once in the month of March. And finally, in the third segment, we will directly filter the email interactions in the email engagement category and the purchase data in the other category to create a complex segment of laptop purchasers who also click the campaign email at least once. I will now shift to the demo. Post the demo, we'll keep some time for the Q&A session. This is the segments interface in Data Cloud. We have pre-prepared the 3 segments using Visual Builder. We will now create the same 3 segments with the help of Einstein. And we'll match the segment count with these pre-prepared segments to confirm the success. So let's start with the small segment. The segment population is 238. The inclusion criteria is defined as individuals above the age of 50 and the gender as male. So let's start creating a first Einstein segment. Here is the Einstein interface for us to converse and create segments. I've already prepared 3 tabs on my browsers for each Einstein segment we need to create. So let's jump into them directly. Let's type the first prompt for the small segment. Create a segment of all males above the age of 50. As you can see, Einstein is analyzing our input prompt, understanding the context, finalizing the action and result. If you notice on the left-hand side, it has already picked up the attributes correctly and is asking for our validation, both age and gender. It has also suggested the naming of the segment based on its understanding. Senior males. Now let's click on the count population button and see if it worked correctly. 238. The count is the same. In case required, we can always redefine and refine the prompt and create a different segment. Now all we have to do is click the create segment button and publish the segment for further activation and use. Let's now work on our second segment, medium. The logic for this segment is based on individuals who have purchased a pizza in the month of March. The segment population count is 44 for our data set. Let's now recreate the segment via Einstein. I've already written the prompt. Create a segment of all those who purchased pizza in the month of March 2024. As you can see, it has picked up the correct attributes. Now let's click on the count population and see the count for March pizza lovers. Segment count is 44. And this is how easy it was to create a segment using the Einstein prompt. Now let's move on to our third segment, launch. The objective for this segment was to use the engagement and the other DMOs connected by the individual DMO. We've already created a segment for all those customers who have purchased a laptop and have clicked on at least one campaign email. The segment population count for this large segment is 95. So let's recreate this in Einstein. I've already populated the prompt. Create a segment for all those customers who have purchased a laptop and have clicked on the email. As you can see, it's picked up 2 attributes from 2 different data models that we mapped, one from email engagement and the other one from purchase. So the product name is equal to laptop and the engagement channel action is equal to click. Now let's click on the count button. The segment population is 95. Let's get back to our 3 segments, 95, 44, and 238. So let's do a quick overview of what we saw in the demo to put everything in context. You've seen how easy it is to create Einstein segments, create complex segments using just natural language prompts in seconds. Our first segment, small, use profile attributes, age and gender of the individuals to create a simple segment. Our second segment, medium, use purchase data which we added as a separate data stream and used to create a segment of Mark's Pizza buyers. And finally, our third segment used two different DMO categories, engagement and others, without querying the individual DMO category directly to create a hypersegment. We had pre-prepared these three segments using clicks and codes, drag and drop functionality. But with the help of Einstein, we were able to recreate the same segments using conversational AI. And that concludes our demo. We can now take a pause and move on to the Q&A session.
Okay, so I'm going to switch off the video and I will pause for any questions that people might have. How's it looking out there, Akshita? Any questions?
Yeah, right. That was awesome. Thanks, Rahul. And I hope all that info helps you to understand the concept of conversational AI and a great intro to Salesforce Data Cloud as well. All right, with this, we enter the last leg of our Snapinar, the Q&A section. To ask a question, please type in the Q&A box.
Yeah, I can see a few questions, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, there's a question from Liz. Okay, Rahul, she's asking, what is a DMO?
Yeah, so DMO stands for a data model object. In plain English, what it really means is whatever data you input or ingest in Data Cloud, you need to set a common language between all your data sources so that Data Cloud can understand what every attribute means. And we use that with the help of a data model. I'll give you an example. One data source could have their column name, email address as email_ID. Whereas another data source could be using it as email address in full form. A third one could just call it EID, right? So all three different sources may be using different attribute names, but are implying the same value, which is the email address. So what data model does is it says, okay, fine, I have a common language. Why didn't you tell me which attribute which you are ingesting matches what in my data model? So all the three input sources get matched to one column, one attribute in a data model, and it's called email address. So all three different versions are now actually one thing, which is your email address. So now Data Cloud knows that whenever somebody is talking about EID or email_ID or email address, they all mean email ID. So DMO allows you to create a common language between all your different disparate sources and create that common language, which can be understood not only by Data Cloud, but it will help in identity resolution and segmenting as well.
All right. Hope that helps to answer. We have questions coming in, Rahul. There's Aaron who's asking, can you briefly talk about ID unification?
Sure. So I think the biggest feature, if we can call it, of Data Cloud is all about unification of data. So like I said, if you have disparate sources, so for example, you have a customer profile data, you have a loyalty management or loyalty profile data, you have a purchase data, you have a campaign or marketing interaction data. All these data are actually belonging to one customer, right? And how do you unify or how do you stitch all of them together? And that's where Data Cloud helps you with identity resolution. So what it does is it maps, it sort of says, okay, fine, tell me what is the common criteria between all of these data sources. So you'll say, okay, it's a customer. So there could be a customer ID, there could be a first name, last name, an address, a license, a passport number, etc. Something that identifies an individual. So what Data Cloud looks at is it sees in all these disparate sources that you have ingested in Data Cloud, is there a common criteria which I can use to identify this record belongs to this particular individual. So, one of the common sort of mistakes or data entries that happen is like, for example, my name is Rahul Nanda. Now, in one data source, it would be, let's say, full name Rahul Nanda. In the second data source, it could be R Nanda. The R is sort of curtailed out. But the record belongs to the same person. So how do they identify with it? So identity resolutions give you number of factors. So it'll allow you to use fuzzy name, fuzzy logic, exact logic, on an email. So it identifies using maybe your email ID, your first name, your last name, etc. And it provides you that stitching mechanism to make sure that everything, all the records that belong to you are actually stitched together and you get a unified view. So we have things like contact point email, your address, your individual, because at the end of the day, these are the things that identify an individual, right? Your passport number, your home address or your office address, your email ID, your first name, last name, etc. So all of these details are used, and you can see something called fuzzy name and normalized email in this. So these are the kind of matching rules that Data Cloud uses. They're okay, fine. Fuzzy name means that if out of three things, I know that, this R Nanda can also be Rahul Nanda, it will most probably stitch it together and say, okay, this record belongs to Rahul Nanda. And that's what unification of identity resolution does, and it unifies all your records into a 360-degree view. And this is how you get the 360-degree view. All disparate sources, all disparate records are matched together by those unique identifiers and stitched together, which is then called unified individual or an identity resolution.
Right. We have more questions coming in, Rahul.
Sure.
There is a question asking, how do I cross-check if my segment count is correct?
Yeah, so there are 2-3 ways of doing it. You basically use something called Data Explorer. Data Explorer is nothing but like a file explorer where you can search for your segment. So if you look at, I go to my data model object and I basically gives me an option of your segment history. So for example, this is the individual segment membership. The segments that we have created all are listed here. So I'm able to filter that data, add a filter, tell them that, okay, this is the segment I'm looking for. This is the segment ID, like for example, this, and then it'll list out all the records. So once it looks at all the records, sorry, I don't have that segment right now, the ID, but if you list out all the records, then you're able to look at your own data source and see if that has come in. At the end of the day, you will need a test data set of your own to be able to see if this person should have been in the segment and is he in the segment or not. That's the best way to sort of then match and make sure that it's in the segment. There are other ways also. You can actually connect to Tableau. You can send your data into Tableau, and then Tableau looks at the segment. There's a visual representation of the segment as well, and you're able to then search and look at, because if you're looking at 1 million records, it's not easy to identify each one of them, but there are ways of looking at it visually as well in Tableau. So there are 2-3 ways as what Data Cloud gives us. So this one is a more of a tabular sort of view. So you can have your male, your gender. So you know that, okay, this is the individual and these are the number of individuals who have come in the segment. But if you're looking at millions of records, the best way to do it is actually outside the system, or look at a very clear data set of yours and then match it by filtering the records here and identifying them.
All right. I think we have a couple of more questions. Can you explain a little bit on calculated insights? Can we use them to create segments?
Sure. So I think, again, calculated insight is one of the most powerful features that Data Cloud brings in. What is a calculated insight, right? It's basically you creating a set of rules based on the data that you have, and you are calculating an aggregate or a figure or an insight, right? Like for example, there's something called customer lifetime value. I think almost every marketer wants to know how much value does a customer bring to me at the end of the day. So a calculated insight can be configured to create let's say the grand total of all the spends that have happened in the lifetime of a customer, right? And it's all done using clicks. There is no code involved. All you have to do is just pick up the right attribute, define what you want to do, and you can just aggregate them. So all you have to do is just base your calculated insights on your metrics and create that formula. And in fact, just to add there, there's also something called streaming insight. So calculated is more of a batch process. So let's say if you're calculating the customer lifetime value, you're doing it, let's say, once in a day, right? But the same thing you can do via streaming insight also. Streaming insight is a calculated insight which is based on data coming almost near real time. So for example, if I wanted Data Cloud to highlight or flag those people who are entering, let's say, a geographical area, right? So let's say you have a bank as a client and you have an ATM nearby, and if a customer is, let's say, within 60 meters or 100 meters of that ATM, or a bank branch for that matter, you could actually get Data Cloud to flag it up. And using that flag, you could activate that customer into a journey through Marketing Cloud and send them an email or an SMS saying that, why don't you visit your bank and, let's say, complete your loan application process or something like that. So any kind of a use case where a near real-time data is required, you're able to create that insight. You're able to activate a segment into Marketing Cloud and create a journey and send out a communication. So both calculated insight and streaming insights are two features that Data Cloud allows you to manipulate your data and create segments within that. So yes, the short answer is calculated insights can be used in segments as well. So you could, let's say, create a bucket of five buckets of customer lifetime values, and you could create a segment out of each of those buckets and then send them a different communication.
Right. Thank you so much for that, Rahul. Quite insightful. And I hope it helps the audience. Right. I think we are running a bit short on time. So I would say that for the rest of the questions, you can send it to the email IDs that I'll be flashing on the screen very soon now.
So let me stop my share.
Yes, thank you. With this, I would like to say thank you so much for taking out time and joining us today. We truly appreciate it again. We will be back very, very soon with another Snapinar in this series that we are running with another interesting topic. Till then, please take care and have a great week ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.